Bienvenidos a este evento. Yoshi, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Un honor que vengan que se fijen en nuestra facultad, que se fijen en nuestra universidad, que vengan, tomen un vuelo de 5 horas para acompañarnos y mostrarnos sus programas de maestría en Derecho. Nosotros creemos que esta visita que usted hace aquí con nosotros es esencial porque ustedes son una de las principales escuelas de leyes en los Estados Unidos y en el mundo, y creemos que ustedes ofrecen una gran oportunidad en su maestría en Derecho hacia las personas que quieren tener un desempeño no nada más en el derecho público, sino que también en el privado, o que también quieren hacer una carrera académica. In English and shortly, thank you for being here, Mrs. Yoshi. It's truly an honor for us to be here and show us your LLM program. We consider one of the best of the world, and it's designed for people who want to focus on public, private law, but also for those who want to enjoy academia. It's a very, George Washington, very well-known university, and honored to be here. You got the floor.
Thank you all. Thank you for your warm and gracious. Thank you all. Thank you for your warm and gracious welcome. It is a pleasure to be here today to introduce the George Washington University Law School to you, our Masters of Law programs, and I look forward to having a wonderful conversation with you at the end of my presentation. So my name is Shanaz Joshi. I'm the Assistant Dean at the George Washington University Law School. And I was invited here today to speak a little bit about our Masters of Law program, the LLM programs. And you will see I will be going through a presentation, but please feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And I will try to be brief so that we have more opportunity for a discussion. So today I'm going to talk about why would you even consider at this stage in your professional path to become a lawyer, to become a legal educator. Why would you even do an LLM in the US? I'm going to talk a little bit about our own law school, a little bit about the LLM program, what specializations we have, and then a little bit about the application information. So when you look at the screen behind me, you're going to see a lot of bullet points. And so when I do orientation every year for our Masters of Law candidates, I'm very curious as to why they're going to come for a year and spend a year in the US at a US law school doing a master's. So I'm always curious to hear from them, why at this stage in your career would you do an LLM? And so you'll see many, many reasons. And these are actually from the class that just started in August 24. Some want to simply gain an exposure to the US legal system, to get a better understanding of how US law is promulgated, how it's worked, how it's legislated. Some want to spend a year to gain a cultural experience, learn a new specialization, or become a subject matter expert. So there's a lot of reasons students undertake the LLM in the US. And so it really depends on what your goals are, what your aspirations are in becoming a lawyer while you're here right now studying law in the top Mexican school. So these are issues to consider as to when you would go, if you would go to the US to do a master's. So a little bit about our university. Now, we're not as old as UNAM, but we are a university that was actually chartered by Congress in 1821. And as you can see, there are 10 schools and colleges that make up the George Washington University. The law school is just one of them. We have a School of Medicine, we have a School of International Affairs, we have a business school, we have an engineering and science school. Altogether, we have a population of about 20,000 students. Now, I just found out that the law school at UNAM is 18,000 students, so we are quite different in terms of size. But you will see that we're a very international institution, not just in the law school, as you will hear from me shortly, but throughout the university, both the undergraduate and graduate level. We have about 4,000 students on campus coming from about 80 countries across the world. And because of that, we have a global alumni network. So when you come to GW, you're not only learning and getting a degree, but you're going to get tapped into this alumni network that is going to be for life. And though we have almost 300,000 alumni all over the world, we have a significant portion of that group who are LLM alumni. So you are going to have the opportunity to engage with them during your studies at GW and afterwards. And this builds for not only professional relationships, perhaps some sort of collaboration in the future, but most importantly, you're going to make friends for life. And these friends are going to carry you through all sorts of avenues that you take. I was just meeting with somebody who did his LLM with us in 2012, this morning before we came to UNAM. And he actually told me that he and his LLM friends from GW are all going on a trip tomorrow to Colombia. And so the friendship bonds have continued from 2012. So that gives you a testament to about the community that we build. So a little bit about where we are. Now, George Washington University, we're in Washington, D.C. So we are in a city. So we're not the college town campus that you may see in American movies, where it's a small college town with a large campus, where football games are going on, and you have all sorts of sporting events. We have a very, very strong sporting community in DC, but because it's a city, we're geared more to basketball and to hockey, not so much football. But you will see here on your screen, and if you can see on your top left, the gold mark, that is where the law school is. So we're in the heart of the city. We're across the street from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. We have all the governmental agencies around us. We have all the international organizations around us. So Organization of American States, the Inter-American Development Bank, IMF, a variety of international organizations that are very important to our LLM students, because those are the opportunities for you to do internships while you're doing the LLM. And so being in this location has the added benefit of you being able to go to class in the morning and go run and do an internship in the afternoon across the street at the World Bank. So the location gives you the ability to transmit from the academic to the professional setting very seamlessly. But more importantly is the fact that given where we are, we're able to draw on the legal community in Washington. We're able to bring the legal experts, the ones who are making the law, the ones who are working in areas of patent litigation or white-collar crime, or are doing environmental legislation. We're able to bring these experts into the classroom as your professors. So you will see that having this location in Washington, D.C. gives you both the academic and the professional exposure to a legal community that is actually making the law. We are one of the larger law schools in the U.S., so you will see that we have about 2,000 students in the building. Now, in the U.S., I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with it, so a little bit of a background. In the U.S., in order to go to law school, you must already have a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. So in the U.S., when you graduate high school, you first have to go for a 4-year undergraduate degree, either a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. at a community college or a private or public university. Once you have your bachelor's, then you're eligible to apply to law school for what is the first law degree in the United States, which is the Juris Doctor, the JD. So the JD program is a 3-year program. And at the conclusion of this program, once you graduate, you're eligible to sit a bar exam in any of the states. And once you pass the bar, then you're qualified and admitted to practice. So it's very different from Mexico. So you will find that the student body is also different. It's older. There are many in the JD program who have worked for many years and then decided that they want to transition to law. For example, somebody in the JD program who started this year has a PhD in biomedical engineering and then decided that he really did not want to focus on that area professionally, and because he had been exposed to so many legal issues as part of being in biomedical practice, that he wanted to instead become a lawyer. So you will find that students who are coming into the law school as JD students have already worked for some years. Some may be coming straight out of their bachelor's program. So you will find a mix of professionals in the JD program, but more so in the LLM. And so in our LLM program, which is the Masters of Law, then the SJD, which is our Doctor of Juridical Science, that's pretty much the PhD in law. The Masters of Study in Law, which is a new program that we started, that program is for non-lawyers. So people who do not have a law degree, but need to learn the law. They don't have any intention of ever practicing. They don't want to go to big law and become a corporate attorney, but they need to have that understanding of law to help them succeed in their profession. So for example, journalists who are writing on religious freedom and the First Amendment, they need to have an understanding of US legal history and constitutional law. So the MSL program has been designed for individuals such as those. And then we have many exchange programs throughout the world. So you see that the student body is predominantly made up of JD students, and then our postgraduate degree students who are the LLM students. And this year in our class, we keep our LLM program very small. It is very competitive. We have about 150 students, but this year we have over 40 countries represented from all over the world in our LLM program this year. So it speaks to the diversity of our LLM population. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our academic curriculum because it is also very, very different in terms of how a one-year master's is structured in comparison to programs here at home in Mexico. So the LLM is a one-year program. Now anyone who is coming in on a US visa, student visa, has to complete the program in 2 semesters. So it's very condensed. We have over 600 courses. That's a lot of courses to choose from. But you take only 24 credits. That is, you're taking about 4 to 5 subjects each semester. So in 2 semesters, you're done with the master's. And most courses go between 2 and 3 credits. Now, because you're coming for such a short time, and it is so important for you to learn the subject matter that you have come to learn, we don't require a thesis in our LLM program. We do require a writing paper, so a research paper to have some sort of component to academic writing, but we certainly do not require a thesis because that would mean that you're spending more time in the library than you are in the classroom. And the LLM program is designed to give you as much knowledge as you can get within that short one-year time. Our LLM programs are very flexible. You can really, within your area of specialization, decide what you want to take. We have just 2 courses that are required for international LLM students, such as yourselves. One of them is called Fundamental Issues in U.S. Law. That's basically an overview of the U.S. legal system. So it's going to give you a grounding on everything from what is torts in America, to constitutional law, to what is evidence and what are the rules of criminal procedure and civil procedure. So it gives you that background, it gives you the building block for everything else that you're going to study as part of the LLM. And in conjunction with that, we ask that you take one course on legal research and writing. Not to say you don't know how to write. You have written many, many exams, you have written papers, you may have published, you may be working as research assistants to professors here, but in the US, the technique is different. And so we want to be able to make sure that we're giving you the tools to succeed, so that when you are applying for jobs down the road, you are able to write an open memo or a closed memo. You know what blue booking is. You know how to do citations, American style. So these two courses are mandatory for anyone who is coming into the LLM program. Apart from that, you are free to choose. And so this is where the strength of our program comes in, because we offer the general LLM and many other specializations. So these allow you, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, to either get that broad exposure to the US legal system and sort of take various snippets of classes. We have students right now who are doing feminist legal theory, refugee and asylum law, constitutional law, energy regulation, but under the general LLM, because their interests are so diverse. Others are absolutely drilling down in the area that they came to study. They're only studying business and finance. They're only studying intellectual property. It's your choice. You decide what benefits you the best, and then take the classes that are most suited to you. And in that connection, in connection with that, we allow you to change your specializations. So right now I'm here, I'm talking a little bit about US law schools and LLM programs. It's overwhelming, right? Because you really haven't had time to digest everything that I'm telling you, and you may not be sure that you do want to do intellectual property, or you may want to do human rights. So you're going to be checking a box on an application. We're not going to hold you to that. So if you decide to come to GW, you're going to be going through a week of orientation with me. And at that time, I'm going to send you to every single program specialization advising session to say, go get a sense of what the IP program is going to focus on. Go get a sense of energy, or go get a sense of international and comparative law. Decide what is important for you. And so if you apply to the business and finance program, and you were admitted to the LLM in business and finance law, but then decide that, no, I really want to do international and comparative law, but I want to focus on international business law as part of that, absolutely by that, you can change your specialization. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting the actual benefit of the courses that we offer. So that's why you see on your screen that you can change your specializations during orientation. Most LLM students, if not all, who come to do our LLM are looking to do a US bar exam. So all of our specializations have been tailored so that you have the option of getting that specialization on your diploma, on your degree, putting it on your resume, but you can also take a US bar while you're doing that, and complete the eligibility requirements, for example, that New York law has. So I'm going to touch very briefly on the various programs, and you will see here on your screen a very small snippet of the course offerings. As I mentioned earlier, we have hundreds of courses. To get an in-depth understanding of each program, I recommend that you go to our website and look at the areas of study, and they will list all of the courses that come under these various specializations. Government procurement law is a very, very unique program. We're the best in the country, quite frankly, because of our faculty. This is one of the few programs that you can do it online or in residence. The majority of our LLM programs are completely in residence so that you get the immersion experience. The government procurement allows you to also do it online. And so this gives you an understanding of not just what government contracts is all about, but it'll give you a bird's eye view of what anti-corruption is, of what compliance is, how does procurement and international development work, These are some of the subjects that come under the heading of government procurement law, headed by Dean Tillipman and Steve Schooner and Chris Hugans, who are the leading authorities and have written most of the books in the area of government procurement law. Business and finance law. Now this is a very broad LLM, but it's also very minute. So it again goes back to what I was saying. How specific do you want it to be? So within business and finance, do you want to just focus on securities regulation? Or do you want to do a little bit of corporations and contracts and secured transactions and perhaps focus on anti-corruption and white-collar crime? So it depends on whether you want to do commercial law or whether you want to do international business law, but all of the courses that we offer here, and a lot of them focus now on arbitration. So we are developing international arbitration in Latin America courses. We're looking at international banking and investment in Latin America because these are growing, emerging fields. We develop these courses as we get the feedback from our LLM students who are now working. And as the fields are developing and new markets are emerging, they're coming back to us and say, look, for the next generation of lawyers, it would really benefit you to offer these courses. And so we listen to our alumni, and so we develop these courses. And with that, we understood from them that it was very important to get the practical exposure. So you'll see something called a practical track LLM on your screen. And so that now gives you the option of making sure that as your LLM, you are also doing an externship as part of it. So the business and finance, it's your option. You want to do just an overview of the business and finance program, you can, or you can actually do an externship as part of it, which is then required as part of your LLM. Again, your choice. We're not dictating to you what you can and cannot do. But this is an option that we offer for you, and now we offer this for all of the LLM programs. We have energy and environmental law, and that now focuses on very critical areas. So we have everything from oil and gas to climate change, climate crises is a new course, law of the sea. We have tracks. So you can do a track on government procurement and environmental, or you can do a track on international environmental. It really depends on what your focus is. We have an energy law moot court that's coming in that's now going to be an option for our LLM students. There are paid research assistant positions available with the dean and the opportunity to research and publish as part of this program as an LLM candidate. Am I good on time?
Yes, let's say 4 minutes more, and
Okay.
then open to
Okay.
questions.
Sure. So then we have intellectual property. Again, patent, copyright, trademark. And with that, we have a program at Munich with the Max Planck Institute in Munich, Germany, which is a summer program that is co-taught by GW professors and the Munich program on intellectual property. And you can take that as part of the LLM. We have new courses on privacy and technology, and that is probably the focus that we are looking most closely at. So we now have a center on privacy and technology. I'll be discussing that. But you can see that we are looking at privacy and data protection. We're looking very strongly at AI and cyberspace. And then we're now going into blockchain and other areas of law. This is the new center that has just been created. So it focuses both on IP and then the privacy and technology. And we will be starting an LLM in privacy and technology law as well, probably in the next year or next year and a half. And so with this center, not only do you have the opportunity to do the LLM, you have the opportunity to become a fellow for the center while you're doing the LLM and also work for the center. You can see that we have a robust program. The center was just launched last fall, so it's brand new. And so you can see that we already have a very robust speaker series, and we now have a new journal. And so with that journal is going to be the opportunity for a lot of LLMs to collaborate as well on that. And with the center, because it's both based on the academic focus but also on the private focus, we're going to have a visiting scholar program. International and comparative law, again, comprehensive, both public and private international law. If you want to do the broad overview, you can. If you want to get a specific concentration on human rights, you can do so, or on international arbitration. Again, it is up to our LLM students how you want to develop your coursework and your curriculum. And part of this international comparative law program is our summer program in international human rights law with Oxford University in England. It's a 1-month program, summer program. Again, you can take it as part of your LLM, or if you wish, you can do it as a standalone. So that is an option for you. And that program, again, is run jointly by GW and Oxford. It is held in Oxford, England, every July for 1 month. National security, I'm going fast. National security, because it is DC, it is a key area, it is a growing area, and you're going to see that national security is not just U.S. foreign relations law. It is military intelligence, it is counterterrorism, it is intelligence law, computer crimes, tech foundations for cybersecurity. These are all some of the subjects that are incorporated into this curriculum. A little bit about the SJD. So this is really for somebody who wants to go into academia. It's a 4-year program. And then quickly about applications. For those of you who are interested in doing an LLM, there are 2 ways to apply. And I have brochures here, and I'll leave some of my cards. So even though I'm going very quickly through this, feel free to reach out to me. We can set a one-on-one time to meet and talk via Zoom and discuss any questions that you may have. But you'll see these are standard documents that are required pretty much of all US law schools. You need the form, you need transcripts, notarized and translated, English proficiency, letter of recommendations, personal statement. I'm going to stress on that for 1 minute.
Or more, because that is or more, because that one is very important.
It's very important. So right now you're here because you're curious about the LLM program, right? What is an LLM program? Why would I go to the US to study? What benefits are you gonna? So as you're curious to learn more from me, your personal statement is our opportunity to learn from you. So that's probably the most important part of the application. So I'm an admissions officer. What do you think I read first in an application? Because I'm the one looking at every single LLM application, and there are hundreds. And normally the response I get is, oh, you have to look at our grades, right? If we don't have good grades, or we don't have that good GPA in the US, you're not going to consider us. Yes, grades are important, but I'm more interested in the individual that I'm bringing into my building. I'm more interested in what makes you tick. Why did you go to law school in the first place? Why are you here thinking about doing an LLM? What do you want to do afterwards, after the LLM is over? So your personal statement is your opportunity to tell us aspects about yourself that are not in the rest of your application. So for those of you who are thinking about doing an LLM, don't tell me about, I did this internship and I got this mark in this course, because I'm going to see that on the rest of your application, right? I'm going to read your CV, I'm going to look at your grades, I'm going to read the letters of recommendation from your professors. But I want to know who you are as a person, what makes you tick. And something about yourself that is very personal. So talk about an experience that you had, some volunteer work. Are you passionate about sports? Your family? Anything that makes you stand out from somebody more than just a GPA. So you have to reflect yourself as a human being and why you want to be a lawyer. And that is very important for us, because when you're coming into GW, you're coming into a community. And so for us, it is very important that we get to know each student and what are your strengths, and yes, your weaknesses, and how we can help you attain your goals. So your personal statement is probably the most critical part of your application. And then I'm going to say something that you may laugh at, but trust me, it is absolutely critical. When you're writing personal statements and you're applying to 15 US law schools, please make sure you send the right personal statement to the right school. You have no idea how many personal statements I get, and I would love to study at another law school. And I'm like, wow, did you not proofread? Isn't that the first hallmark of a lawyer, right? You look at the documents you're submitting. You have to be careful, detail, detail, detail. So take the time, write. Have somebody else look at it. Somebody who's actually not a lawyer, is not a professor, is not a friend or a colleague in law, but somebody else, and say, look, have I reflected everything I want the school to learn about? Okay? So anyone who applies to our LLM program, because I know this is very important, law schools in the US are not cheap. There's no other way around that. I will be very honest. It is crazy expensive what we charge, but that's the reality. And so we offer a lot of scholarship opportunities to our international students. So we don't even have a separate scholarship application process. Anyone who applies to us, regardless of the specialization, is automatically considered for all available scholarships. They're in the form of tuition waivers, and we will make that determination. You don't have to do anything. Little bit about the LLM of Port. So this is the professional development program that we have that's as important as your academics. It is a professional mentoring program to give you the exposure to the legal community in DC, giving you the skills to work and down the road. We have full-time LLM career counselors, so they're working with you the day you arrive. So they're going to be working with you on developing your resume, doing mock interviews. You'll see on your screen we have ISIP. Our career counselors right now are doing mock interviews with all the students who were selected to go to New York for employment opportunities. We're actually running these mock interviews not in the school. We're actually taking them into public spaces. So we're going into coffee shops, because these interviews are going to be in halls where there's going to be an employer sitting with you and then another employer and another prospective applicant 10 feet away. So the noise levels are really critical. So we take you into public arenas and say, learn how to do an interview with the noise, with the people coming and going. How do you focus on the person who's interviewing you, and how do you give them the information that they need? So there is a lot of behind-the-scenes work that we do with our students. Living in DC, how many of you have been to DC? I don't think I live anywhere else in the States, quite frankly. It is, yes, it's the capital of the US, but it's a very cosmopolitan, very international city. Public transportation is very available, and being in the heart of the city, you can pretty much walk anywhere.
And also, I will end that. When you're in DC, you feel like if you were in Europe, because it gives you that atmosphere.
Exactly. So actually on that, so when I can actually escape out of the law school, I go for a walk around the campus, especially when the weather's good. And one of my favorite things to do, because of where we're located, is as I'm taking a walk, I'm counting how many languages I'm hearing. Because we're across the street from the World Bank and the IMF, and then OAS is a couple of blocks down the road. So when I go for a walk around campus, I'm actually counting how many languages I'm listening to being in the capital of the US. And you'd be amazed, I don't hear English at all. I hear German, French, so I hear Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese. So it's a variety, because it's a very cosmopolitan city. And I know I went over time.
Thank you. We have
time for questions.
And also something that I truly enjoy of Washington. I have been there twice. The variety of cuisine. I mean, there are excellent Ethiopian cuisine, Indian, Persian, Japanese, Mexican.
We're a foodie destination.
Definitely. And also another very important fact of DC that makes very attractive is very well connected to the world. I mean, you got flights to Addis Abeba, to London, everywhere.
We have 3 major airports. So you literally can get anywhere in the world, as Roberto said, from these connections. And more importantly, it gives you the opportunity to meet those who are coming in. So we're a US law school, but as I was telling your dean earlier, being a global law school is part of our DNA. It's actually in our mission statement. So yes, we're a US law school, we're one of the larger law schools in the States, but we pride ourselves on being a truly global law school. And that for us doesn't mean just the students, it means the exchange of ideas with our faculty, with our alumni, with those practitioners who are coming in for meetings and want to come and give a lecture to our students. So there's a very vibrant international community in Washington, yes, but it's also within the confines of our law school. And that is something that we take very, very seriously. Questions?
Before questions, I would like to highlight 5 things to be considered for our students regarding George Washington. It's a university and law school that see people, not numbers. That's very important nowadays. Second, the program, their academic programs are not static, are constantly transforming, moving, adjusting to the realities of this world that is changing every day. I would say every second. And third, it has a huge curriculum for nearly for everyone who is interested in every subject. A huge curriculum. For the location. The location is amazing. It's a place to make network, get involved in this international organization, apply for internships, find a job later in the World Bank, which is next corner. So the location is amazing. Also, flights from DC to Europe and Africa are not very expensive, and it's close. It's like 7 hours by plane. So, and something really, really important, and last but not least, something really, really important from Washington, George Washington Law School and the universities, that it's a university that offers global network. That means a global career. Do I am right with these conclusions?
Absolutely. Again, going back to what I just said about the New York program, so ISIP it's a very small consortium of schools. It's not open to all US law schools. So we are a consortium, we say NYU. The employers who are coming in to interview my LLM students at the end of this week are coming from Dubai, are coming from Singapore, are coming from all parts of the world, from Seoul, from Kyoto, from Berlin, from Paris, from Bogota, from Rio de Janeiro. These are just some of the employers I can think off the top of my head. They're coming in to see what our LLM students are going to do for them. And so it is a global network, and it's very interconnected. And this goes back to our alumni, because we have an alumni mentoring program. So for example, if you are interested in working in Dubai, you reach out to me and I put you in touch with our alumni who are in Dubai, and they will connect with you. They may ask you to come over for an internship. So the possibilities are endless. It is what you make of it. And that is the key takeaway I want to leave with you. It is very important that at GW Law you are proactive, because you will have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of. It is up to you as to what you make of that year at law school.
We got our first question. Imagine, let's make this hypothetical case. Someone applied for George Washington with very impressive CV and very, very well detailed statement of purpose. Imagine. But this person unfortunately got 6.5 in IELTS, which is not bad, but not as good. Would you consider other facts to accept that specific person?
Absolutely. We don't deny somebody just because you don't meet the English proficiency minimum requirement. So TOEFL is 100, IELTS is 7. Yeah, these tests are very subjective. I've actually taken the TOEFL myself and I do not want to tell you my score. So I totally understand when you're approaching these tests how difficult they can be. Because they're also not legal English tests. It's overall comprehension. So if you don't hit that magic number, it doesn't mean you're going to be denied. What I'll be doing is reviewing everything else, and I'll probably call you up and say, all right, let's do an interview. On the spot, be prepared. It's not like we're going to set it up in advance so you have time to prep. It's going to be a spur-of-the-moment interview. Or I will ask our alumni to reach out, or if the score is, a little low, I may say take it again. But it does not mean you get denied just because you're not meeting that magic number like a 6.5. Because we're looking at, again, what I said, we're looking at the whole picture. And one thing I should mention is, we've started this for fall 24, and it's not on the slide, is we have a 3-semester LLM program. So if you're academically and professionally qualified, but you yourself are saying, my English, I could perhaps improve it a little, come into the 3-semester. It's still 24 credits. What we're doing is spreading out the academic program over 3 semesters. So instead of taking 12 credits each semester, you take maybe 9. You get used to the system, you improve your legal English, and you get acclimated to the life of a US law school. So there is that option as well. So it depends on the overall application.
Thank you. We got another very interesting question. Is like, imagine that someone gets accepted to the LLM, study the LLM. It's possible for that person to jump immediately to the PhD that is GSD?
Yes, GSJD. Admission is not automatic. They can apply to the SJD program. Now, the SJD program is very different from the LLM. First of all, it's a 4-year program, and it is purely research. So you're taking 8 credit hours in the first semester, and then for the remaining amount of time, you're writing your dissertation. So in order to get admitted to the SJD program, the individual has to have a topic that they present as part of their LLM. It's a separate application process. That topic has to be vetted by our faculty who are subject matter experts in the area, who then are willing to take that candidate on for the duration of their SJD. So it all depends on the dissertation proposal, and most importantly, on how well they're doing with the LLM. So it is possible to start the SJD immediately upon conclusion of the LLM, but they have to apply and be admitted.
And that person can apply staying there while he's doing his LLM.
That's right. Yeah, they can start the application process while they're in the LLM.
Perfect. We have another question. Do you work or do you have contact directly with Fulbright? How many? It's possible for a student to get partially his spending covered by Fulbright and the other half, other percent by you?
Yes. So we have Fulbrights in our program every year. This year we have 6 Fulbright students from all over the world. And so Fulbright, as you may know, will nominate the students and they will fund them a certain percentage. That doesn't mean that if somebody is being sponsored by Fulbright, we're not going to consider that individual for scholarships. So even if that person is being sponsored by Fulbright, we will still consider that individual applicant for all available funding on our end and perhaps match the remaining amount that Fulbright is providing to that student.
Wow, that's a very important question because I mean, financial aid, and basically I will say that LLM at, I mean, university, it's not at any universities. The university and is the law school that should be considered, and it's also a great place to be, as I mentioned. So the next question for in our page on Facebook is about if a student is accepted, a student there, it's possible to do one summer abroad
As part of the
as
LLM?
part of the LLM.
No. So the exchange programs are a very different component to the LLMs. If you're coming to our LLM program, both semesters have to be in residence in the university, but you can then add on the 2 summer programs that I spoke about, either Munich for IP or Oxford for international law. But you can't do an exchange semester abroad as part of the LLM if you're admitted into the LLM program. Now, we have exchange programs where we're going to be discussing further relationships. So exchange students can come in for 1 semester to us, and then if your university permits, for example, we have a dual degree program with Groningen in the Netherlands. They allow their students to come in for 1 semester to us, or 1 year to us, and then go back to Groningen to finish.
Have you here? We are very happy.
Thank you.
Feels like your home is law school.
I certainly feel that way.
I will do my question in Spanish. If Roberto, please, you could translate it, so I think it's much better. Tengo entendido que tengo entendido que la formación es teórica práctica y quisiera saber cómo es la formación práctica en Washington.
Basically, Tanya asked, normally the courses, the formation for the students are theoretical, but she wants to know details. If you could explain how is the practical formation that you give to the students in your program. So, I was clear?
So basically, what you're learning in the classroom and putting it into practice outside the classroom?
Yes, and how you help that transition, that pedagogical transition from theoretical to practical.
So with us, there's a term called experiential learning. That is a core component of what GW Law is about. And so that is exactly what you're referring to. So you're going to class, you're learning the theory, you're learning the doctrine, you're learning the cases from the professor, and you're going to be in a large classroom of 60 students, or you could be in a seminar of 10 students. It depends on the subject. But whatever you learn from that classroom, you also want to put it into practice. And that's where the internship opportunities come into play. That's where the LLM Bergenthal in of court comes into play. So we're taking the academic as well as the professional and combining it into the opportunity for you to work in DC. So the externships are a very important part of our education. Am I on the right track? Is that
Yes,
what
yes,
she's
yes,
asking?
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And-
So we can study and work.
Exactly. So again, that practical track LLM that I was talking about, all of the programs have it. It's up to you. Again, as the incoming student, do you want to avail yourself of that opportunity or not? Again, we give you the tools to succeed, and we give you the opportunity. So every 2 weeks, we're sending out a list of all possible internships. We're bringing alumni in the DC area to talk about their practice areas. We're teaching you negotiating skills. As I said, we're doing mock interviews all this week. So we're giving you the tools to go out and be successful if you want to stay on in the US or come home. It doesn't matter. We're giving you that toolkit on the practical level.
Thank you very much.
If I have another question, if a student at your LLM program wants wants to take one course at the School of Foreign Affairs or business, is that student able to do that?
Yes. So we, as part of the LLM program, which is 24 credits, you can take 6 credits outside of the law school. So we have a lot of students who are in the Elliott School of International Affairs learning law C, but from the political science perspective. We have students in the MBA program at the business school. So all of this has to be pre-approved because, as I mentioned earlier, we have a strict study plan for each student. We want to make sure you're on the right path. But if you are, absolutely, we will say go out and benefit from a pure business course taught to MBAs.
Wow, that enrich your LLM because nowadays we think here at UNAM that lawyers, the future lawyers, they don't need only focus on legal subjects. They need an interdisciplinary perspective to analyze legal cases, to adapt legislation to reality. So that's a fundamental issue.
Absolutely. I mean, these days, law is interdisciplinary. You have to have an understanding of the other areas because everything impacts law in some way, right? And so when law is being made, it is not just somebody sitting in a room creating legislation. They're getting input from the economists. They're getting input from the people who study the labor stats. They're getting input from people on AI stuff these days. So all of this comes in to create the law. But if our students don't have an understanding of what the interdisciplinary approach is, we're doing a disservice to them. So we absolutely encourage this.
Perfect. Anyone else has a comment, doubt? Please.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for your explanation. It's so interesting. I mean, I can do my question in Spanish.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Precisa para que la podamos traducir.
Okay.
Y sea directo.
¿Qué tan largo es como el proceso para la aplicación para aplicar? ¿Qué tan largo es? Por ejemplo, ¿qué tan recomendable es si voy terminando la universidad o cuánto tiempo tendría que esperar para poder aplicar?
Esa es muy buena pregunta. Imagine that that's a very important question. Imagine how long time should a student be planning to apply for your LLM program? I mean, after he or she graduate, or after 1 year experience, or also how long take the process from the submission to be accepted, and which stage of life. Here we have 2 questions, but
Exactly. So I'll address which stage of life first. Very important question. So our LLM program this year, I said we have over 150 students from 41 countries. We have somebody who's 21, coming straight out of law school in their home country. She's done 1 internship. And then we have judges, we have prosecutors, we have general counsels, we have partners. So we don't require professional experience as part of the LLM. It is when the time is right for you to come and do it. So you can see amazing variety of experience, age, all coming into the classroom. And these are going to be your friends and colleagues that you're going to be learning alongside with and you're going to be learning from. So it really depends on what your career goals are. Some find that it's beneficial while they're still in the frame of mind to study, to go straight from their undergrad into an LLM program because they're in the study mode, as they say. Others go out and work for 10, 15 years and then come back because they need that additional expertise in their subject area. So at GW, we don't require professional experience. Now, if you have it, that's great. The application process. So let me backtrack a little. For anyone thinking about doing the LLM, my advice is to start thinking not about what kind of LLM, but first look at where you will be most happy in the States. Geographic region, climate, closeness to family? Do you want to have the experience of a city campus, or do you want to go to a law school that is really what you see in the movies? You know? No, it's important, because as I said, you're spending a year of your life. You have to be happy while you're doing it, right? And enjoy the experience. So I always say, create a big, fat Excel Google sheet, whatever you want to call it, and start putting the pros and cons of each university you may be considering. Importance about faculty, their scholarship, how accessible are international students, how welcoming are international students, do they have facilities for your hobbies and your interests? I have somebody right now who's coming into the LLM for fall 25. Never been asked that, I need to come back to you. I have no idea. I don't know what the size of our swimming pool is. But so that was his first question to me. And I was like, okay, so you have to look at what's important for you and then start doing a spreadsheet. Then you start looking at the universities once you've narrowed them down, scholarships. And this is a very important, if I can take one extra minute.
Many minutes as you wish.
When you're looking at law schools, be very, very strategic about your funding. So if you are looking for law schools that give funding, you also have to still fund your living experiences. So you're looking at a year or two of savings, right? You want to apply to scholarships in Mexico. So go to the Education USA offices in Mexico City. They have an amazing resource of all the scholarships and resources that are available for Mexican law students going to the US. So do your homework, basically. And then when you start applying to law schools, do not be dazzled by the amount of the scholarship, because you may get 10,000 from one, you may get 40,000 from another. What you're looking at is the final cost. So when you look at the scholarships, look at their entire amount of tuition, and then look at their expenses on the personal level. Room and board. How much are books? What is student health insurance like? Am I going to be spending money on transportation, or can I walk to campus every day? You start putting all of those amounts down, and then you start calculating which university meets your budget. So, long answer to your question, take the time to do your research, do your homework. Most important of all, reach out to the admissions officers. So they're going to be your best friends, because they're going to be your advocates for when you apply. So if you and I already have that relationship, I've talked to you today, we continue the conversation so that when your application comes in, I already know you. And I can advocate for your admission, and I can advocate for funding. So reach out and develop, go to every webinar that a law school has. Learn as much information. Ask the admission officer for information on alumni from UNAM. Who's been at your law school? And can you reach out to them to pick their brains? Did you have a good experience at GW or elsewhere? Was it worth it? How do you think I should approach the application process? So all of this gives you a good sense that it takes time. So do your homework, start doing your research, and as I said, reach out to the admissions officers over and over again. You're not going to be a pest. I have students that I've been in communication for 3 years now that are now coming in fall 25, because it took them 3 years to gather their financing. But we kept the conversation going. Okay?
Everyone else? Someone else has a question regarding?
Yes, thank you. I try to my question in English.
Thank you.
Some help, please. Thank you very much for staying here. It's very, very important for students, for our students, and for professors know about this kind of studies in your university. It's a really great university. I know because in my specialization is intellectual property. Is one of the best in the world. And now I would like that my students know the information about the specialization because they want all the time they are asking for information for scholarships because it's very expensive for us.
Yeah.
Really, for a public university like this, is very, very difficult to get some resources to get the possibility to study there. But I would like to know if I can give them, because we are going to start the classes next Monday. They aren't here, our students, but I would like to give them some information about the intellectual properties in the specialization. And if we can have no, I don't know, a email or some person that can give them information or with us.
Absolutely, that's not an issue at all. I would be delighted to. I can ask the dean of the IB program to give a short presentation on the IB program because he can talk a lot more in depth about the curriculum and the faculty. Happy to set that up.
Ah, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And I'm happy to jump on a Zoom or do another webinar. Thanks to technology these days.
A través de la coordinación podemos
Perfecto.
facilitar.
Sí, sería maravilloso que pudieran escuchar eso.
Yes, definitely.
Además porque están dirigidos. They are very interested in this in the university because the most of the time they know the specialization. But I would like that if they could listen to
Sure, we'd be
Yes,
delighted.
we organize it, and if podemos invitar a todos los profesores de propiedad intelectual. We can, as you know, we have many professors, teachers, students here. We can do something specific on intellectual property by Zoom.
Yes, definitely. And we have believe it or not, in Mexico, the majority of our LLM alumni are all in IP.
And next,
Like, so, yeah.
Kiyoshi.
Kiyoshi, exactly. Kiyoshi, Orochi, and Linear, all of them. Basham, they're all the partners are all IP grads.
Yes, and it's easier for them because it's a particular universities. For us, it's more difficult.
Absolutely, we'd be honored to.
and we let me announce, we will, Joshi and I will work closely to strengthen this relation and make it a partnership. La Facultad de Derecho y George Washington vamos a trabajar conjuntamente para fortalecer estos lazos, estar juntos. I would like to come here more often, Joshi, to UNAM.
I was just going to say, there's a phrase in English, I don't know if you all have heard it, it's like turning up like a bad penny. Like you keep coming so much that you like turn up like a bad penny. I'm going to be one of those.
And next time you come here, and we will invite those alumni who study who are from UNAM and
I'm saying Kyoshi later on.
to come here to this kind of events, to express their experience, and also
Kiyoshi is a very good friend.
and also
My good friend.
and she can help out to coordinate this partnership. The point is to integrate, and we will definitely strongly recommend George Washington as a final destination for our students. Someone else, so we can start ending this conversation, this presentation. Someone else has
Thank you.
Thank you.
something to ask, to say, a comment? No?
Congratulations for you, for the
No. But
Thanks to, I'm here because of him, so thank you.
no, but you deserve all the credits because I am just the platform, but and we
He works behind the scenes.
let me, before ending this event, many universities have been reaching us, but about programs, joint partnership, but we are really looking to you. I mean, for us, it will be very strategic. We are really pleased that you this is the first time of many, and we will do many things together, and we will promote your LLM to our community, and definitely it's from something particular that I would like to say about George Washington, apart from those five conclusions that I gave early, is that it's a very progress university. It's a university that make feel students as part, immediately that when they arrive, they make feel students as part of their community. And that's very important, especially these times that people who are ruling countries are trying to segregate people for their race, belief. So this is a very important, this is a key partner that will help us to make a better world, and it's a university that spent a lot of resources for making this world much better. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.